Okay guys, what I have here is just a bunch of stuff I'm going to try to put together to make a specific easel box that someone has requested a few times. And I did link to her some other videos, but I know it's hard to come up with your own numbers, so I'm going to specifically do a 6-inch easel box that has the backing so that the drawer doesn't just slide out the back. That's where some of the more difficult things come in, okay? So if anything I use, I can link for you guys. I'll have those links in the description box. Those will be affiliate links, which means I'll make a small commission if you purchase items to those links. Having said that, some might go to HSN, some might just be random, and maybe I don't have links for everything because, hopefully you just pull some things out of your stash. But I was kind of just sitting around this morning trying to have some little tea and just watching TV, and I was like, while I'm sitting here, I might as well come up with this in my head. So I already came up with the numbers because this one is kind of painful because it's not just a box. I make a box like the other day on a live. I made the box in 5 minutes or whatever, that's fine. Or if you have a box maker, this is kind of like a matchbox, but at the same time, it's going to have a back to it. So that's another thing. And the insert can't quite be done like a box base because of the combination of the matchbox thing and the insert. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just the numbers have to be quite different. I hope I came up with good numbers because I haven't made one of these in a while, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this smaller and then this, and then the box should fit in there, but then the sides. So maybe there's easy ways to come up with this, but this is what I did to make it more straightforward on the outside wrapper, the matchbox part, and then the insert is the one that's going to be a little not fun numbers. And since it's 6 inches, I just received this. I placed an order on Crafter's Companion. Like I said, it was about a week and a half before it got here to the house, so I did want to follow up with that, and then, everything came. And I've been hearing from you guys that they have better shipping and all that kind of stuff and fulfillment. I did hear some other scenarios that weren't as great, but, I just tried it out because I haven't tried them out in a long time. And I picked this up, and I told you guys, I wasn't sure. I was like, did I pay full price for this one? I don't know. I might have. Yeah, it's $35, guys, this kit right here. It was 6 stencils, 5 ink pads. It is the Harmony Quick Dry ink pads, it says. And a photopolymer stamp set. It's the same price on Crafter's Companion. Maybe they have sales here and there. That is on HSN. And I think on HSN they only have the rose and one other design. I can't remember what it was, but I'll link those. This is the peony. So it is a 6-inch stencil. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I cut my cardstock a little bit smaller than that, some matte layers. We're going to do that last, though. So let's focus on the box first. And I didn't even put it away from whenever I had done that. And I'm going to use 8.5 by 11 paper, so A2 size paper. I'll probably need a couple sheets. I was looking through this Natural Textures, the die press paper, and I was like, you know what? Maybe the burlap with the roses or the peony would be cute, so I'm probably going to need a couple sheets of that. Pairing it with pink paper, I mean, it kind of clashes, but I think it'll be okay. So this is Ballet Pink Classic Card from Tonic. Let me put this to the side. I will say Tonic just launched the cutest Easter box thing. I did not receive it for review, and I haven't, I can't order it before it goes, live. So, hopefully it doesn't sell out from under me, but I'll link that in the description box in case you guys want to check it out. It is very cute. It's like a really cool, kind of like this, kind of like the little box they came out with not too long ago, but it's kind of Easter egg shaped at the bottom and then kind of pointy. I don't know. It looks very cute. So good luck. Hopefully we can get those. So I'm going to use this. Again, my box, I'm going to have 2-inch size just because I don't know how tall this person was thinking about this, but if you want it 1 inch, then just subtract an inch all around off or whatever. So that this is actually 6 inches. The insert's going to be a little bit smaller than 6 inches, obviously, because it's going to go inside. I decided not to make this like 6 1/4 or something like that. I just figured 6 inches. I don't know what they were envisioning, but and that also made it easy because if it has 2-inch sides and I want 1/2-inch glue tabs, which is usually what I like to do, I just need 2 strips for the outer box, right? So if this is it, for the outer portion of it, the matchbox part of it, I need 2 strips that are 6 by 8.5. So that makes it very easy. Bummer I can't get 2. I guess if I had it, 5.5-inch square, I could have gotten both off of here with some different measurements. But I'm gonna need 2 pieces that are 6 by 8.5. So I'm going to cut those right now. So it's already 8.5 inches, obviously, in the width, so I'm cutting at 6 inches. And then the other one also. Oh, that's going to be cute. Okay, 6 inches. And then we're gonna need one more portion for the back. So this is gonna make a matchbox kind of thing around our insert, and she doesn't want it to fall out the back. So we need a piece that goes in the back. And that was also a little bit tricky because you gotta come up with your own numbers. And do you wanna just make 1/2 inch marks, but then maybe the paper's too big? Because again, it's just like if it was a box top and a box insert or the box base, they can't be exactly the same height around the edges because it's not going to fit together. So what I did for this one is I came up with numbers in my own head that I can still score at 1/2 inch all around, but it's going to be smaller already. I hope that makes sense. It probably doesn't. So that would be 2 15/16 by 6 15/16. And you're asking, well, why are these numbers fatter than the 2 inches or whatever? Because we're going to do 1/2 inch glue tabs all around, so it's going to remove an inch. So essentially it's going to end up being 1 15/16 by 5 15/16, which is just smaller than the sizes of this once we put it together. It'll make sense in a minute. So 2 pieces that are 6 by 8.5. 1 piece that is 2 15/16 by 6 15/16. And I know those numbers are painful, but that's the easiest way I can explain it. And so 2 15/16, not a quarter, not an eighth. This little guy right before the 3, that's your 16th. So it's almost 3 inches, but not quite. So I'm going to do that one first because I can get that off this paper. If I cut it the other direction, we're going to run out. So 2 15/16 by 6 15/16. So again, the little notch right before the 7. Okay, that's your 16th. If you're doing this on a box maker, I'm not even going to include that information because people will get super confused. So let's just leave it at that. And then our box insert. Okay, guys, sorry for the rough edit. I went on to talk about the insert, and I realized I forgot to add 1 extra measurement in there. So let's do that part again. So for our insert, we just need a square of paper that's 9 by 3/4. Now this is A2 size paper, and I just realized that's not going to work for me because obviously this is only 11 inches by 8.5 in the other direction. Actually, this might be A4, so even smaller. So that's not going to work. I'm just going to go grab another piece of paper that I can cut a 9 3/4 inch square from. If not, you can make glue tabs and all that kind of stuff, build up your own sides. I'm not going to do that. I want it to be very straightforward. So I need a 9 3/4 inch piece of paper. This is all fine. I just had to add another side. I only added 1 side to my numbers, and I'm like, that's not going to work. It's times 2. So 9 3/4 inches is what we need to make our insert. So I'm going to go ahead and go grab 12 inch piece of paper somewhere and cut out myself a little piece that's 9 3/4 square. Okay guys, I have a ton of this paper. I hate to do this because we're only going to see a very small part of it, but I love the roses and everything on here, and I'm pretty sure I was going to do my flower in like reds and pinks anyway. So let's use this love letter paper. Oh my goodness. And this is not like the heaviest weight paper. That's the other thing. You want construction weight paper, to be honest. I mean, look at this. This insert's not going to be super sturdy, but I do like the way this paper looks, so we'll just start with this one. Or we'll just use this one. Okay, it's really stuck in there. Ripped some of the stuff off there. That's a bummer. Okay, 9 3/4 inches. So again, I can do the math so I don't have to swing out the arm, but you know what? Let's not do that. Let me make sure. See, this paper got a little bit thrashed right there, so I'm going to take that off. So 9 3/4 inch. I love that this one has a measurement that's not super crazy. So hopefully that helps out. And 9 3/4 inch square. And since I have this right now, we're still working with this stuff. I'm just going to go over real quick for the insert for the 6 inch box, 9 3/4 inch square. We're going to score this at 1 15/16 all around. I know that's an ugly number, but you need the sides of this to be just smaller than the 2 inch sides you have over here, or else they're just going to hit each other, right? So one has to be a little bit smaller. I also accounted for the size of the base of the box. So all those things are weird. Okay, I'm not going to lie. But that's why it's a little bit different than just making a straightforward box. It's a little more difficult, but this isn't bad. I like those numbers, so hopefully that works for you. 9 3/4 inch square. Again, over here you have 2 pieces that are 6 by 8.5. And 1 piece that is the funky number that is 2 15/16 by 6 15/16. Okay, so we have that. So now let's go ahead and square this since we're working with it already at 1 15/16. So 1 15/16. So it's right before the 2. Right, we looked at that guy, not this one. That's an eighth. This is a 3/8. Basically, it's back here, or sorry, yeah, something like that. That's not true. Anyway, this is your 3/4. We're looking for this guy right before the 2. I might have thrown out the wrong number there, but that's okay, guys. Right now, I'm already frazzled as it is. So let's line that up and all around 1 15/16. I already accounted, like I said, in the size of this paper for the box needing to be a little bit smaller when we insert it, but also the sides of the box, the height of the box needs to be smaller. So I just did that in the size of the paper plus the scoring. So again, 1 15/16 all around, and that should essentially give us a box that will fit right in there perfectly. So I'm going to make it into a box, right? The insert. Now, do I want this facing up or this facing up? That's pretty. Ugh, I think this is going to be facing out. Either way, pick which side of your paper you like better. You're going to cut up on that score line that we just did, 1 15/16, right where it matches up the other one, right? And then divot a little piece out because we're going to make ourselves a little box insert. And I'm sorry if this is kind of hectic or confusing at all. It's just that's how it is with this particular kind of project. It's really, it's a lot to keep in mind. So when you're creating your own, you know, it has to be the inside of this box has to fit inside that matchbox. And it's not just like a matchbox because you have to put that back on it. So it's just the whole thing. I have other videos on just making matchbox boxes that is not as difficult, guys. Okay, so scoring on those lines. And I'll give you a measurement on the box just so you know this is going to be smaller than 6-inch square because we have to account for all that it's sliding into the other portion and all that. So let's go ahead and glue this. All right, glue our glue tabs. Once you get past those parts of just making the box, it's really... Once you get past the part of making the box, it's so easy. What I meant is like coming up with the things and doing the actual scoring. The outer one's going to be pretty straightforward, so that's nice. And again, I gave you the guys' numbers because we're making this up on a paper trimmer or like on a regular scoreboard. The numbers I'm giving you, you can do that. Obviously, people have scoreboards that have box makers built in, and you can kind of adapt this for that. But those would be probably different numbers for our paper because I already accounted into the math of the paper. So as I'm putting this together, I'm going to give you a measurement of this box. It is actually 5 7/8 inch square, which is what I was looking for. So thank goodness I made those numbers correct. And these sides, if we measure them, should be, again, we just scored them, so it shouldn't have changed. This should be smaller than 2 inches. This should be the 1 15/16, and that's what it is. So that's already great, guys. Essentially, we're going to create this to go on the outside like this. Okay, comes and wraps around. The other one's going to wrap around the other way because the paper's not big enough. And then we're going to put a piece on the back. So, and then an easel because that's what the person was asking about. So let's get to making the outer portion of this box. So for these two guys that are the two pieces that are 6 by 8.5, we're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 2.5. Okay. So if your paper has a pattern or a certain direction, make sure that they're going to work together because one's going to wrap around to the next one. So at 1/2 inch, and it doesn't matter on which side. Well, it does matter if your paper has a direction, but again, 1/2 inch and 2.5. So 2.5. So we're accounting for that 1/2 inch glue tab that we just created, but also a 2-inch side. Okay, 1/2 inch and 2.5. Again, for this one, same thing. 1/2 inch and 2.5. Okay, and then this guy, this one's interesting because I already came up with the numbers so that we can just score it at 1/2 inch all around and be just fine. So again, that's why it's 2 15/16 and 6 15/16. You can make this paper a different size, that's whatever, and then score it at a funky side. So I had to pick that funky number somewhere, and I'm going to put it in the actual measurement of the paper, and now we're just going to score a 1/2 inch all around. Okay, so 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And this is only going to be a 1/16 of an inch all around smaller than that matchbox outside, because if it was 7/8, it might be too small. So anyway, 1/2 inch all around. So these are just numbers I came up with. If you disagree, you can come up with other numbers. It doesn't, it's whatever works for you. Again, 1/2 inch all around. Okay. So, a couple things. This guy, we're just going to cut out this little ends. Actually, I'll show you on this side. See where the score lines are. We're just going to get rid of these because we're not making a box. We're just making a piece that tucks into the back of this. So we're just notching away to leave those perfect glue tabs. Okay. So we're just getting rid of all that. And we're going to put our score lines in. You can score at the end because if you feel like, oh, actually, maybe I should have taken a little bit more off of it to make it a little bit smaller, you can kind of adjust for that. And these guys are going to glue together. So I'm just going to take a little bit off of here just to make it look a little more stylized. And again, just scoring on the score lines. Same thing with this one. Actually, I think when I come up with my own numbers, then I just come in here and talk to you guys about it, it's probably a little quicker because a lot of times I'm going through the math and talking with you guys about it and people glaze over, they said. So let's talk about it again. 2 of these, they are 6 by 8.5, scored at 1/2 inch and 2.5. This one is 2 15/16 by 6 15/16, scored at 1/2 inch all around. Okay. And this part, you know, put it together however you like. If you want to add this in right now and then keep gluing, which would be nice, or however you want to do it, that's what I'm going to do. Or if you want to glue it together as kind of like the matchbox part. If you don't want to use this, you don't have to use it. You just wouldn't have a back on it. You don't have to put this on at all. But the person requested specifically that there be a back on it. So I am doing that. And again, line it right up on the edge so that your score line isn't impeded, but also that it's right on the edge. That looks really good. Let me see. Yeah, that looks perfect. I suppose you could just fold it like this and stick it down so you can see that they line up really perfectly. Okay. And then maybe this guy. And I always kind of zhuzh the glue a little bit to spread that out. Okay. So this one isn't the exact same 2 inches as this side, the way we scored it, or the way I cut it. And I'll tell you, it's because, I mean, I guess it could be perfectly, but when you go to put these on, it's just kind of in the way. So this one is only a 1/16 of an inch shorter than these other 2 sides. I hope that makes sense because it has to tuck in. But if you want to make it the full 2 inches, you know, go ahead. It just might give you some problems. Okay. So there we go. And then this guy is going to go on here. So how do you want to glue it? Do you want to glue these sides first and then come around? Whatever it is you think you should do. I'm going to go ahead and pop this on and pop this on at the same time. So anyway, that back piece that tucks in just has to be a little bit smaller than the other piece there. And if that seems difficult, like I said, don't. Just make it 2 inches. And don't do any of the funny math I was doing. But there you go. This one here. See, that's why it kind of comes in just a little bit. Just the tiniest amount. And that's just a style choice, like I said, as far as making this. If you don't care about the making it a 1/16 of an inch smaller, then your paper would be 3 by 7 1/2 inch score lines all around. Okay, if you don't want to mess with the 15/16 for this little back portion, don't worry about it. So it'd be 3 by 7 scored 1/2 inch all around. It's kind of what I did last time in my other video. I'll try to remember to link that video. It was an anagriffin kind of thing that I was playing with, and it works. It's just really tucked in there. Okay, so we have these last 2 glue tabs, that one, and then this guy, really getting glue on the very edge here. So I'm just gonna tuck this guy in. Ah, what am I getting caught on? I'm getting caught on something right there. That was weird. There's nothing there. It just was like not wanting to move. Okay. Okay. Again, if you don't think you want to stylize this as much, you don't have to. See how it looks a little bit different? You can just use the same measurements. The 2-inch sides, and that's it. Okay, I'm gonna make sure everything holds together. And then we'll try our slider box and see if we did this correctly, or at least if I did it correctly. I'll be right back. Okay, guys. My goodness. I might still use that pink paper just for accent, because we're going to do probably white paper with the stenciling. So maybe use the pink one. I mean, I could use this paper, but then you're just going to cover up a ton of it, and you're only going to see very little of it. So, all right, let's see. See, again, this is very thin paper compared to what I would normally make a box with. So let's see. That could be the front. It doesn't matter. But let's. Oh, that's already good. Yay! All right, guys. What about it? We did it. We did it. We did it. Again, both papers are kind of more layering weight, a little thicker than layering weight, obviously, but not so much construction like what I would normally choose for construction. But hey, there you go. So 6-inch paper. Okay, let's top this off. I'm going to use the ballet pink paper. And this is the one I first messed up. So I'm just going to cut this. This is legit 6 inches. Okay, it's a 6-inch box. Like this top part, if you measure it, it is literally 6 inches. 'Cause that's what we went for, right? So 6-inch top. I'm going to cut this at 5 7/8 inch square. And I will be right back. Okay. And if you have some cute, you know, square dies, I'm sure I have some hunky-dory ones and things like that are like larger and square. Or, you know, on your Cricut. I mean, you can definitely make this on your Cricut too, this whole thing. I'm going to put that right on there. Again, I kind of eyeballed that. It's a little tight. Let me do... Sometimes when I come up with my numbers and I go and I trim them, you're still eyeballing it over here, you know? So then you end up with something that's a little bit maybe off. I feel like that was still a little bit too tight. So let me just do that again. There. Okay. And then we'll get to doing our stenciling and then the easel part. And I don't know if she wanted the whole top being an easel or just some of it. I'm making the easel smaller in the box, like on top of it. So again, you can come up with that on your own. You want to do a whole 6-inch piece of paper and easel it that way. You can definitely do that. I'm going to make the easel within this portion here. Okay. So again, this paper is so thin for construction. But there we go. And again, if that bothers you, you can line this. Like I can line that way with some pink paper or something like that just to make it a little sturdier, a little thicker. We're going to have to put something on the front possibly, which is kind of a bummer because that's the only other places we have the little roses. I might just do a handle, but I would want like maybe something gold. That's a real bummer because we're going to cover this up. But we need to add some sturdiness to this box, guys. If you're using heavyweight, construction weight kind of paper, you're not going to worry about that. But there you go. So that already added some sturdiness. Okay. Let's do the stenciling and then we'll, you know, finish up decorating and whatever else we want to do with this. I know I was thinking maybe I should add some of this here. We could do that. And then the handle. Anyway. Okay. I'll be right back. Actually, guys, I have to go pick up my husband from the airport. So let me do this other part first before I do the stenciling. So let's finish up part of the easel here. Now, however you want to design your easel, I could have tucked something that was folded behind here so that the easel comes up from here. You can just stick it in the very center. You can, however you want to do your easels. I'm just going to come up with something real quick and easy. I am going to match this box, I think. I was going to easel just the white part of the cardstock, but then I thought, well, maybe I should put pink behind it. I don't know. It's whatever you want for how pretty you want this to look, right? So how much you want to invest into it also. So I'm going to take this guy and do another 5 7/8 inch square. And that's going to easel the white cardstock with the stenciling up for me. And then behind it, we need something to easel. Now I do have some scraps of paper, but these are really kind of small. If that's 3 inches. Yeah, because we're going to score it. Okay, let's get rid of this. I'm just going to grab another scrap of paper. Again, I like to coordinate with what I have going on back here. So let me cut the 5 7/8 inch square real quick, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so another 5 7/8 inch square. That's going to kind of easel like this. I have this scrap left from that back side of the paper, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll use this. And, I mean, it's... How is that possible? That is 5 7/8 inch too. Does that make sense? I guess so with... A4 paper, and that is pretty funny. Okay, I didn't really care if it's the same width. Honestly, I would probably like it to be a little bit smaller, but you need something that's at least a good 3 inches tall, and then 1/2 inch glue tab. So I'm going to cut this at 4 inches in the other direction. It could be smaller than the 5 7/8 inch, guys. This part we're just kind of coming up with, so 4 inches, and then we're going to score it at 1/2 inches. A 1/2 inch on this side, 1/2 inch on this side. I've been making easels all different kinds of ways, so this is just a quick one, a quick idea. Okay, so we'll probably use some of these scraps anyway with, you know, decorating this thing up. So score that, and it depends. Do you want it to do this kind of a thing, lift up? You can also score this towards the back. Of course, I'm gonna easel a little bit of this away just to make it look nice. You don't have to easel it. I don't know what I was trying to say. Anyway, just take a little bit off. So again, this piece was 4 by 5 7/8. It doesn't have to be the same width of this guy, but it turned out that way. So you like it to go like this. You can have this going back, whatever you think. I think I'm gonna tuck it because I think that looks better. And then wherever we glue this down, make sure that, you know, you'll have plenty of space for this to sit. So this is a nice big wide piece of cardstock. It doesn't have to be that big. It just worked out. That's pretty funny. The math on that works out with an A4. Okay. So I like to use wet glues because, you know, that's what I like to use. And you can place this wherever you think would look best for pitching up your easel. Again, I'm going to take my hand, take this out, get my hand in there, make sure this is all making good contact. Sorry guys, you know I went to do this. I'm going to put this higher up because you're going to have to kind of envision where this is and this, and then how high you want that. So I'm going to put this quite a bit higher up. Let's say in the top inch or so even. Sorry. And I mean, depending on if you want this bottom piece to show a lot, you can put another paper, more decorations, whatever, right? So I'm going to repeat myself even though I already did. This is 5 7/8 by 4, scored at 1/2 inch on those 2 sides there. Okay, I'm just going to squeeze that down. I'm going to take care of that piece of paper that's just kind of sticking up there. Okay. Sorry. It's because this is so wide. I wasn't expecting that, right? And I was just like, oh, we'll just come up with our own numbers. So I had to bring that up because when we stick this down, we're going to want it to easel, you know, however, wherever you want it to stop. So you definitely need easel space, and I mentioned that, and I still didn't do it. Okay. So, again, wet glues is my preference, because unless you tear it, it's not going to come apart. But, you know, do whatever you like. I'm going to hold that down. I'm going to hold this down, and just before I stick that down, I want to make sure everything's kind of straight. And it's looking good. That looks pretty good to me. Let me make sure over here before everything. Okay. I'm going to turn this over. I'm holding everything like a sandwich so it doesn't move on me. And I'm going to make sure that that glue tab is sticking down. And I'm going to give that a moment before we try to mess with it at all. But basically, you're just gluing that easel portion. A lot of steps, guys. That's kind of I'm telling you, this one subscriber asked me about this a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, okay, I'll try to get to it. And I really wanted to. It's just I know this is a lot of steps, and I had all these other videos I need to release and stuff. But all right, so it looks something like this, right? Because you're gonna go like that, and that is a big easel. And then with our little insert here. And then we're going to have that stencil piece with some kind of sentiment and then some kind of stopper in here, right? So, all right. Sorry, I just want to get that done because I got to run. I'll be back. Hopefully this video will still go out today, which is Friday. And part of the deal, my husband usually takes himself to the airport and checks in the car. He had to leave like at 4 in the morning. He's like, I don't think the shuttle even runs then at the Sheraton where we usually park it and park the car. So I had to take him. He's like, oh, but when you pick me up, we can go eat at Costera. I love Costera. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I had to get up at 4. I'm telling you to take him. And then the next day, Dorian had to be at school by 6. So I had to get up at 4:30 to make sure he got ready to get to school at 6 because he had a field trip or whatever you want to call it when you're in high school. So I was so burned out the last couple of days. leading into this week. But anyway, all right, this is very pretty. I like the colors together. Okay, I'll be back. Oh, you know, while I'm gone, I will entertain you with a video of how I added more glue into this bottle because this one was giving me problems, and I wanted to decant it into here so I can keep using it. So I'll do that here because I didn't know where else I was going to put it. So my Nuva Deluxe adhesive, and I hear from you guys a lot of times you are having the same problem where it's like here and it's already like doesn't want to come out anymore. So I still have a little bit more that I can decant. I was waiting for that to collect again. So let me show you how I did that, and then I'll be back. Okay guys, I don't know where I'm going to squeeze this in, but this bottle of Deluxe Adhesive Nuva Deluxe has been doing real well. Everything's great. This other one's been drying out. When it gets towards the end, that happens, and I've noticed that. So what I do sometimes is I will combine 2 bottles. Now, I'm going to do this one because this one has been great. I feel like what happens is something dries up in here, and then it's just like so hard to get glue out later. So I'm going to take the lid off of this one. I'm going to pop this out. And I'm just going to decant this guy into the one that's been working. It's like something happens in here, and then it just makes it impossible later to keep getting glue out. So it's always kind of annoying, obviously. So I'm just going to take that. I already had this face down for a while. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, not face down, but lid down. So that all the glue is already kind of at the base here. So just leave it sitting for like a day or so, just so all the glue really gets down to the base. And I don't know if you can see, I'm just kind of squeezing it, going in there. If it starts doing this kind of thing where it's mounding up, I will give a squeeze and a hit. Because what happens is there's an air bubble. You can poke it out, but I'll just kind of keep going like this until it clears. See, it just opened up. And then let's just make sure we get it all going back down again. And then I'll go back in, start squeezing this one. But it's nice to leave it sitting down like this. I kind of keep it that way anyway as I'm using it. And I don't know if you notice, I'm also squeezing this so that I'm squeezing this like this so that it wants to leave a little air kind of coming through. So I'll just continue doing that until I'm happy with the amount that I got out of this bottle. I probably had like a quarter of the bottle left. And now I'll put my lid back on, you know, and that's just a good way of keeping this in good use, right? So you can get all the glue. And see how that hole, I want that to open up even bigger. I'll just keep clearing it, and you can see it's opening up more and more. And then I'll go in and do some more. So I'll come back. I'm almost done. There's like not a ton of glue left in this bottle, but enough that I want to salvage it. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, I'm towards the very end, and all I do is just kind of bang, bang, bang that down there. It's kind of like when you're trying to get shampoo out of one, or conditioner out of one bottle into the next one, because I am like that too. I'll put water in there and give it a shake, because I want every last bit. It drives me nuts. Like, why do companies make it so that the last, like, this much of your shampoo bottle or your conditioner bottle does not get into the straw or whatever what I call that thing? Anyway, I think I'm pretty good. I know I can see in there that it's pretty cleared out. But, and I gotta move on. I have other things to do, so I have all day to sit here but you can still kind of leave it sitting there if you really think there's some more in there. Put this little cap back in and just, again, leave it sitting like this until it pulls up again, you know. And then I just put it against something to keep it sitting up. And then we have this guy. So a lot of times I don't have like this fine tip lid. You can see I lost my diamond. Whatever bottle is working better, right? So get the one that's not working as great and pour it into the bottle that's working better. Even if it's the same kind of lid, just pop it out like I showed you. Pop out that tip, and then you're good to go. So I am happy with that. And like I said, I don't know where I'm going to put this in, what video I'll put this into, but now this bottle is like up to here, and before it was almost empty, and the other one was decanted. So not wasting all that good glue. Okay, guys. Let's get back to it. Okay, you know what? Flight is coming in late. I just checked it. Good thing I checked it because it's a good 40 minutes late. So I am not leaving yet. So I can cut this down to 6-inch paper and then trim it down. You know, I wish I would have pulled out like a cute die that I might have, like a square one, but I didn't. So everything's just square and cut, but that's fine. Okay, so I'll just do a 6-inch square, and we are going to trim it down. But for now, I need this to tuck back in, right? There we go. It's just some white. This is the kind of paper I would use for construction, guys. I'm not saying the other ones are layering weight. They're not. It's whatever I said in the videos whenever I went over them, but they're basically like 85-pound kind of papers, you know? So just a little weaker than I would want, but that's all right. I cut it 6 inches because these are 6-inch pieces. They have registration marks. Obviously, if you color in those registration marks, they're going to show up on your project unless you cut it down. But these are also made to work with some kind of like, what's it called? Like a surface that you're supposed to put this on, like a stamping or stenciling surface or whatever. So those might be there for those pegs. And this also came with, did it come with instruction or does it just have, yeah, on the back. So basically these came with the inks. They keep falling out. I'm just gonna have to throw this box away. It's kind of not super helpful. They're showing you the colors, not saying exactly which one to use here. So that's kind of interesting because there are no names on this. I'm sure they have some kind of videos on them. But basically, I'm assuming that's the lightest one, then this one, then this one. This being the darkest, so this was this one. I don't know. So I have them in order of blush, candy floss. I feel like that's how they, I don't know. They don't look as light as they do here, right? So I think blush, in my opinion, looks lighter than candy floss. Maybe it's not. Bubblegum, Deptford Pink, and Mulberry. Okay, that's how I'm doing it. And then it doesn't come with the green. It does say you can pair it with the green ones, like you can pick those up separately. I'm going to do brown. I think for this project that looks pretty, so I'm going to do brown leaves. So I'm going to layer up some brown colors. And maybe, I don't know if I want just to say hello. That's not really what I would want this box for. So let's just start. And I just tape that down. I think I always use the same brush for this kind of thing. But it's so full of pinks and reds now, who knows? You're not going to get the exact color that's on this, I don't think. So we're just going to start. These are smaller ink pads. I have this huge brush. So I'm going to come in from the end. With these guys, you do really, see how if you hold it, it has a little bit of bend. So you want to be very gentle with it. Because if you start off kind of like I did there, you're going to get brush strokes that maybe you don't want. So I'm holding it from way back here so it's gentle. Hopefully that helps you out because I always forget whenever I start in and I'm like, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so this is supposed the lightest color and I'm doing it very lightly for that reason also, just in case I got those two mixed up. So lightest. And then the next one, oh my goodness, I'm at the, you know what, let me take the wrappers off of all these guys. Again, we're going to be careful with these pieces. They're very delicate. I'm just laying it up on the edges of my paper, but you can also see what's going on here and just, you know, trying to make sure that that's probably where you want it. Let me go ahead and take the wrappers off of all these guys, and I'll be right back. Oh, and I mentioned they probably have something that holds this. Stencil and stamp platform, and I'm assuming it has little pegs. I don't know. Okay, number 2. So candy floss, and now that I look at it, candy floss might be lighter. Oh well, what am I going to do? I'm going to apply it more, like a little bit more just to get more color from it, but maybe it is the right one. So this is stuck in 2 places, but you want to be careful. There's a very fine like little pokey here, so I'm going to do that very carefully around there. Obviously want to get some of this color in here. This one is the one I'm concerned with, so I'm just kind of fluffing it towards that instead of pushing back on it. Hope that makes sense. And just getting some of that color down into the center. Okay, again here. Okay, that's how I'm doing number 2. Pretty. I should say stencil number 2. That was not good. All right, number 3. Let's put that on here. And again, lining up, I can see there's going to be a little bit of space between the leaves and the flower. I can get a little bit closer if you want to see that. There's like a little space in there. Okay, so number 3, in my opinion, is bubblegum. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, this has all kinds of delicate little areas. Again, pixie spray. I'm just not using anything really, just holding this down. Nice and juicy ink pad. Okay. I'm being super careful, just looking at all the little ins and outs of this, and then also trying to keep it away from the leaves area. These are very pretty colors, I will say. Ooh, see how that one wanted to move on me? So I'm going to hold it here as I work this side. Making sure you really get in there. That one wants to move on me too. Ooh. Yeah, it's delicate, guys. So maybe a pixie spray would be something you want to deploy here. I'm gonna try to get in, oopsie, trying to get in here. Oh well, I got in the leaves. What are you gonna do? Super delicate. Okay, leaves. Let me grab, ooh, should we use finger dauber? Let me see. Oh, you know what? I have this little dauber that already has a brown top on it, so I'm gonna do that. And I think there are 3 layers of leaf. So I'm gonna start with, actually, yeah, 3, 4, and 5 have leaves. So I'm gonna start with this lightest brown. I did get a little pink on that one, but you know, what are you gonna do? Mask it off? No, no, no. All right. There's 3. 4. 4 has some darker brown. Again, you can use the same brown and just keep building it up. It'll get darker and darker as you work in there, so you can definitely do that. Like this next one's pretty dark. Like there's gonna be the smallest area behind it that isn't showing up. That's so weird. Okay. Ooh, 4. Deptford pink. And again, ooh, that is really pretty. There's a piece here that shouldn't be there, so let's get rid of that. This one's easier to work with in these smaller areas. It's not as super delicate as the last one we just did. That one really had a lot of, oh, bummer. Let's see. I need something. Oh, the pokey tools I just got in that Crafter's Companion set. This one still was covered, and so was this one. There we go. So let's get in there and make sure we get some of that color in there. I think it's just those 2. I'm just going to keep pulling color off of what's on stencil here. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous, bright, bright, bright pink. Okay. Now the next brown, let's do this almond. Okay. And here. So yeah, it does cover up a lot of what we already did, like under it, but just a very, like, just a little something poking out from behind. Isn't that funny? Okay. And, oopsie. Our last one. 5. In there, I'm looking at the leaves, kind of where we're at. That looks pretty good. Everything around here looks pretty cool, I think. Okay. So let's finish this guy up. Super pretty colors that they curated here for us. Look at that. Gorgeous. And this one is really dark, which is great. I haven't even been paying attention. I keep looking at the leaves more than the flower itself. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Okay, I'm gonna keep. This time I can be a little more getting into it since the leaves are kind of further out from what we're decorating. And without having masked it, you know, you gotta be careful. And let's put this up. Try to go eat some ceviche. Yeah, if you're ever in San Diego, I did a little video about Costera. I'm not going to do it today because I've already shown you guys. I'll probably order the same thing I always order. But they have ceviche and different, it's a Mexican food place, but it's kind of fancy. But it's really good food. So I know sometimes you go somewhere fancy and it's like, it's good. Good stuff. Okay. Look at that. So if you're ever in the San Diego area, right there near the airport, is that restaurant? Okay. That's really pretty. I mean, up close it looks kind of, I mean, I don't know, it looks good up close too. Like to me, that's a rose, right? I think. All right. So if you have a cool die or you want to put that through like your Cricut or something cute, or, you know, whatever electronic die cutting machine to cut something cute, I'm just going to take this and trim it off to be 5 3/4. Do we want it that tight? I guess so. 5 3/4 square. Okay, I will say I took the 5 3/4, that 1/4 inch, all off the top to make it kind of up a little bit. It's very negligibly noticeable because I figure I put my sentiment here if I have a sentiment. So let's see about this, and this would glue right in here. Oh, man, it's really, really tight. Let me take a little bit more off of here. Again, this is just me coming up with something. I'm going to take a little bit more off of this, and then I think I'm going to ink the edges because it looks too, like, crisp. So I'm going to take a little bit more off of here, maybe a 1/16 of an inch more. And then, I mean, I'm not even measuring. I'm just looking at this and kind of taking off what I think I should need to take off. And do a little bit of inking, which I haven't done in a long time. I do like clean, but this one also looks like it just needs something. So let's take this burlap. I used to always use my Tim Holtz for this, but I'm not going to pull those out right now. And I think I used this with brown recently. Look, it's very soft. Again, just kind of hold it from the back so you're not... See, this one's much softer. This is a Spellbinders one. The other one was the Nuvo, the tonic brand. And just lightly get some of that on there. Just a little something to break up the... how crisp that is. Okay. I mean, you can barely see it, but that's really nice. Oh, I love that. This is their large blending brush. It's super soft. Okay. I'm going to keep doing that until I'm happy. And I'll be right back. Okay. That's done. And, okay. So now, again, I'm going to glue this down. See, we got a little more of the pink showing. Take off a little bit of the crisp white color there. And I'm just going to stick that down. So, glue. And then we're going to need to make an easel stopper and all these other things. I was looking over here. I have these Tim Holtz, the old wallpaper ephemera stuff, but this stuff's really soft. Like it wouldn't stop anything. So we'll just come up with something. Again, I've been just cutting everything by hand, so if you have dies, it would be obviously much nicer shapes. But I'll probably make a stopper also, just cutting it. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, again, you take this off and press down to make sure everything's good. But I think now I gotta go, and I'll be back. Okay, guys, sorry I got back a little bit late, so I have to do a voiceover. So we're gonna add a little pull tab, we're going to do our easel stopper, and of course finish decorating. So I was just kind of looking through my stash and I found a couple things, and then of course as I'm showing you guys I already found some things. I'm like, oh, maybe this, but changed my mind. So anyway, I have a lot of sentiments and foil leftovers and things that I just kind of go through and pick out whenever I want to just finish something up. So I have these cute sentiments from Spellbinders. I'm going to use one of them for the top and just to decorate, and the other one as a stopper. Your stopper can be anything. It can be some die cuts, whatever it is, doesn't matter. It can be stickers. It just needs to have a little bit of height. So I don't know why I showed all this part, because usually I edit this part out to not bore people. But oh, I did want to show you guys that I went to have my lunch, and it was a nice extended lunch, and that was a really nice drink I had there. It was like a spritzer of some sort, and then my husband got the enchiladas suizas, and I had the enchiladas rancheros or something like that. Good stuff. So if you're ever near Costera in San Diego, you should definitely stop in there. We sat where it was a little bit covered because it was cold today, and they had like a little heater on the top there, so that's why the view looks blocked, because it was like a plastic cover up. But anyway, nice lunch. Okay, so here I'm just sticking this down just like I would decorate anything. Obviously it's a box, you can put all kinds of stuff, but I just finished off with the birthday wishes, bougie dreams. And, well, I guess that's not finishing it off, because later on I do add some rhinestones, but just a topper. And then this guy I'm going to use as a stopper, so why not? So again, dimensionals. You definitely want to get that on dimensionals. And I definitely should have edited this part out. I am sorry that I did not, because we're just going to keep talking through it. Just adding them wherever it looks, makes sense, and where you're not going to see them too much. I mean, I could have put this on another background piece and then pop that piece up. Whatever it is that you're doing, you just want to put a stopper on there for your easel, and anything with dimension. Gonna cut these dimensionals because they were a little too thick for certain spots. So yeah, I totally forgot there's all kinds of cute things that I had just picked up from that Crafter's Companion haul that I did yesterday or a couple days ago, whenever that was. And one of them in there was a square die. You'll see it in a minute whenever I recall. And then also I was looking for other things in there that might go along with this, but there weren't a lot of dies like words. It was mostly stamps and dies or stamps, and so it just wasn't anything that I found useful for this project, even though I just received, my order just came in. Okay, so we're just gonna put that up as far up as you would like to pitch it, and then put your stopper. So wherever it is that you want that to stop, just place it there. So I place it so it has a little bit of an easel, but it's still a little stands up pretty nicely there. You can see how laid back. Again, you can do it higher up, whatever you want. Lower down, whatever it is. I think once I clean up just a little bit here, we are going to start with the pull tab. You see those beautiful roses? I'm basically going to cover them, but I decided to use a different area of the box because the box is a square, so whichever one you want for the front will be the front. So I'm just grabbing some scraps of paper, and I decided to use a piece of the burlap, and I probably could have just left it the way it was, but I decided to trim it down just a little bit, just to give it a little more oomph. Again, remember that paper isn't super lightweight, but it's not the heaviest construction paper. So hopefully you can kind of see I'm making it so it's like just over 1¼ inches deep. Remember the box is 2 inches. That box that's in there is a little shorter than 2 inches on the sides, right? So 1 15/16 if you recall. So again, just over 1¼ inch, and then it's roughly 3 inches wide. It doesn't really matter. I'm just sticking that down. This is the part that does matter. However you want to make yourself a little pull tab. You can add, something cute. You can use, pull tabs that you might have from like any tonic set or whatever. I'm making it roughly 3 inches. Again, the paper is already that size. So about 3 inches by 5/8 of an inch. So just over ½ inch because I didn't want it to be too tiny. You can add a ribbon. You can do this all different ways. This is just a quick pop it on there kind of way. I was going to put this away, but then I thought, I still need my trimmer because I need to do some scoring. So again, my trimming and scoring tool, which I keep forgetting to link, guys. I'm so sorry. Try to remember to link it. It's my favorite all time. We're going to do a ½ inch score and a 1 inch score on either side. So it's going to be a small little pull tab. If you want to make it bigger, make it bigger. Make your own numbers. Super easy. I was just finishing this up with something simple. I have tons of die sets that come with pull tabs, but I wasn't going to pull that out just to do something like this. We're pretty much doing it by hand, and you can definitely make this from your stash, right? So just scoring at those score lines, down and out. If you want to make it a little bit tighter, you can do a ½ inch and a 3/4 inch score, and that gives it a different look. Whatever it is you want. But I basically made it the same, so ½ inch, ½ inch. So that's why it's ½ and 1. So when you fold it over, they kind of go on top of each other. I decided to use this side because it had more roses, right? So on the left and the right, instead of just the roses being down the center, I'm going to cover up. So here we're going to put our glue. Make sure you're putting quite a bit because that's going to help keep that and make it nice and sturdy. And so again, that's just that little piece of paper that is roughly just over 1¼ inch by about 3 inches. And once we get that down, I guess in my mind I was thinking, I'll probably fast forward this, but I didn't. So there you go. We're going to pop this on, and you can glue it however you want. See how I'm showing you? You can glue it like at a tension, so it's just out, or you can glue it a little closer together down in here, however you want. I do it closer together. So I put some glue and just kind of push it down completely. And you should have a little bit of give to be able to pull out your drawer. So again, make it however you like. So you can do a little bit, all at attention, maybe just a little bit more, or all the way pushed down. There's different ways to set that up. I believe at the end I decided to just push it down, like right here. I'm just kind of holding it, but then I end up squishing it all the way down. So wherever you want that to be, go for it. So I'm just holding it down. I do end up holding it down a little tighter. So that is our pull tab there. Make sure to only use it once everything is fully dry. Oh, this is the one I was showing you guys. I was like, I could have used this. Remember I said, if you have dies that make squares or whatever. But anyway, that one does squares and like a square frame. So it might have been odd to use for this. And I'm just going to finish off with some rhinestones. Again, I could have fast forwarded this. I don't know. We're doing real time, guys. We've been here for an hour. You might as well. So thanks for stopping in and watching. And hopefully that gave you an idea of how to design something like this. coming up with your own numbers. Again, you know, when you're doing a matchbox kind of thing, you can also just put your paper against your box and do your score lines where you think it should go so it holds nicely with the box in mind, if that makes any sense. Like actually physically in your hand, just cut your paper and then score it, but around the box. But it's nice to be able to just use your scoring tool and have a good idea of where everything is. So since we're talking about sparkles and bougie birthdays and all this, I thought it needs some sparkles. So I'm just adding a few pink rhinestones. And then we're going to pop our box in. Now this box, the handle is still pretty wet. You know, I just basically put it together a couple minutes earlier. So I'm not going to really pull on it too much. But here's our finished box. So again, what was requested is 6-inch easel with a drawer that won't slide out the back, right? So that's what I came up with. Hopefully that's what the person intended. Again, once this is nice and dry, we can use that to pull it. But for now, I'm not going to use it to pull quite yet. And there you go, guys. So again, use your best, sturdiest papers or really layer up thinner papers. Even 80-pound paper, I usually go for 110, pounds or 300, 350 GSM for the best construction. But all the links will be there as available, and I'll see you all at the next one.